We have lived quite diligently to become decent people. We struggled tirelessly to keep from falling behind others, to become capable individuals, and to present ourselves as lacking nothing. But suddenly, this thought occurs to me. Is the mask of the decent person that I am wearing actually there to protect me? Or is it there to help me lose myself? In fact, we have long been trained to prove our value through our utility within society. The achievements and reputations we built throughout our childhood in our homes and schools, and later in our workplaces and society, have followed us like labels attached to our existence our entire lives. But as the massive wave of AI technology crashes down upon us, the standards of utility that we have held on to so tightly are shaking at their very foundations. At this point, we are forced to ask, even if my achievements and capabilities were to vanish, could I still exist as me? Today, I want to trace the roots of that question. We have been taught for a very long time that we must become competent people. We were only recognized as pulling our own weight if we produced results and proved our place in society. As a result, utility became more than just a function. It became a prerequisite for our existence. The competent were classified as decent, while those without results were labeled as questionable. In an era where function precedes existence, all the trajectories of our lives have been aligned around a scorecard. In truth, this cold standard did not appear suddenly. We can find its roots by looking at the lives of the generations before us. For the generation of our grandparents who endured the Great Depression and the World Wars, and for our parents who navigated the intense economic pressures and the rat race of their own times, utility was a matter of survival. They passed down this language of survival, not because they didn't love their children, but because they wanted to ensure their children could survive the harsh, competitive world they had experienced. Words like, "You must be stronger," "You must try harder," and "You can only survive if you perform well," were the most desperate form of best love in their time. However, that love was inevitably conditional. That chilling circuit, where you are only loved if you succeed and only recognized if you produce results, was deeply engraved into the soul of the child from within the one place that should have been the safest: the home. When childhood deficiency and the language of survival are combined, a person adopts a rigid, social persona to protect themselves. Because the me as I am feels insecure, I create a me that is always pretending to be decent. In the end, the wounded inner self is hidden away, while the mask of the competent adult grows only thicker. Even within the church, this pattern repeats itself. Rather than exposing our essential deficiencies before God, we hide ourselves behind a persona of a diligent believer who prays more fervently and acts more perfectly. But deep in our hearts, it is not grace that dwells, but an anxiety born of the fear of being abandoned. We often mistakenly believe that even God is like the ways of the world, someone who only loves us if we achieve something. We are overcome by the fear that if we reveal our painful corners or our dark sides, even He will be disappointed and walk away. So, we continue to act out the role of the perfect believer, even before God, unable to stop praying in a way that attempts to trade our value for our achievements. But in reality, the Bible speaks of a completely different order. Even though the world screams, "I will recognize you once you prove yourself," the Bible says, "You were already created before you ever had to prove anything." It is not behavior that creates existence, but existence that determines the direction of our behavior. Therefore, the reason we serve and love should not be a desperate struggle to be loved, but a response to the immense love we have already received. AI is exposing a very uncomfortable truth to us: that the utilities we clung to so tightly were, in fact, nothing more than replaceable functions. To those who have staked their existence on their utility, the changes of this era feel like a catastrophe. Yet, strangely, the things that truly make us human are far from being useful. Taking the time to listen to a friend's pain until the very end, holding on to prayers that have no clear answer, or shedding tears while looking at this era of great hatred divided in two. From the world's perspective, these things are unproductive, but it is precisely in those useless moments that humans finally feel a sense of being alive. Ultimately, we must change our question. Instead of asking, "How useful am I?" we must ask, "To whom do I belong?" In this era where all jobs are being replaced by AI, your breaking point is by no means the end. When you laid down that exhausting persona that you had to prove through achievements, you will finally encounter the greater love that has been waiting for you. Your value can never be converted into the numbers of utility that the world assigns. You are a one-of-a-kind masterpiece, crafted in the image of God, more precious than any achievement. Now, lay down that heavy armor of proof and remember that you are already loved overwhelmingly for your existence alone. You are not a subject that needs to be proven. You are a precious life born simply to love.